because we are keeping an eye on the clock, that it is really most poignant for the Salt Lake City group here, that after 8 incredible prophetic leadership, our UUA president, Reverend Bill Sindford, will bring his astounding presidency to a close in Salt Lake City. We are deeply appreciative of his leadership, of always making sure that all of us stand on the side of love. We are honored to have the Reverend Bill Sindford, President Sindford, here at his last public witness as president of the Unitarian Universalist Association.
I want to express my thanks to the other religious leaders who've spoken here today so eloquently and so convincingly. All right, is that better? That's better, all right. As religious people, we are called to proclaim a gospel of love and a gospel of hope. With one voice, we reject a gospel of hate and exclusion. Love your neighbor as yourself, said Jesus. But who is my neighbor? Responded St. Peter. Who is our neighbor? Every generation of Americans has had to confront that question, and now it is our turn. We have been struggling to expand the definition of who we mean when we say we the people since the creation of this nation. The reality of at least 12 million undocumented neighbors living among us calls us to face that question again. For as religious people, this is not only a political or an economic question. For us, this is profoundly a spiritual question. You can applaud for that. The Unitarian Universalist Association has long stood in solidarity with immigrant communities. Even the good UUs who are here may not know that we began passing resolutions in support of immigrant rights at the very first General Assembly of the Association in 1961, and we have not stopped since. And in 2006 and in 2007, our General Assembly passed actions of immediate witness, specifically calling for an end, a moratorium, on the federal raids and the resulting deportations. We have been clear about our stance for years and years. As a faith community, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of not some people, but of all people. I want to give special personal thanks to Larry Love for that moving personal testimony. You see, the issue of immigration is not something that is debated up here at a high philosophical or political level. We're talking about real human lives that are being affected every day, that we wait for our government to create a coherent, sane, and humane immigration policy for this nation. And while we wait, there are some things that we know. We know that our current immigration system is broken. Families are being torn apart by unjust detentions and deportations. Mothers and fathers are separated from their children who are U.S. citizens. And we know that ICE raids are not the solution to this broken system. Deportations will not save us in this situation. We could not deport 12 million people even if we wanted to. We know that the tremendous backlog in processing family-based immigration requests leaves millions in limbo. And we know that the flawed guest worker program leaves millions without a path to citizenship. We say, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. but we also know that the Statue of Liberty has always faced east toward Europe, not south. And we know that, tragically, this nation has now created an underclass of residents who were refused the dignity and civil protections that come with citizenship. An underclass of persons who are exploited, profiled, and demeaned. We have created a class of people who it is okay to hate. And that is a sad situation that we cannot allow to go on. So what can we as people of faith do? What are we called to do in this situation? I think that we're called to name the brokenness in our immigration system, to reject the hate and exclusion which too many proclaim as justice. We must proclaim that gospel of love and of hope that embraces these neighbors. We are called to welcome and stand with them, working to create a respectful path to citizenship. And we are also called to acknowledge that racism has blinded many Americans to what takes place in their own kitchens and workshops and fields. For our nation to be whole, we must confess that our lives of privilege are supported in thousands of ways by people whose labor is often invisible and whose suffering is too often hidden. And we must call for the immediate end to the federal raids and for the passage of just and comprehensive immigration reform. You see a lot of shirts out in the crowd that say, "Standing on the side of love." That's a new campaign that the Unitarian Universalist Association is launching. In a sense, we're really sponsoring it because we want other people of faith, we want other secular folks who want to stand on the side of love to come and join us, because this nation needs a concerted voice which stands on the side of love and compassion rather than hate and exclusion. Folks, I believe, have been passing out cards that look like this. If they haven't been, they should be passing them out right now. This is a pledge card, and I want to read it to you. It says, "I stand on the side of love with immigrant families. I honor the love that binds families together. Any system that breaks families apart is itself broken. I pledge to take a moral stand for immigrants' worth and dignity. As the debate rages, I will respond publicly, thoughtfully, and with compassion. And there's a place for you to sign." Now, initially, I was going to ask clergy who were here to come down, but there's so many folks here that I think that would be not only chaotic, but it would take more time. So I'm just going to ask clergy who are willing to raise their hands as I call out. How many Utah clergy are here from whatever faith tradition who are willing to sign this pledge to stand on the side of love? Look at these folks, and folks in the back. Amen. And how many clergy from around the country, keep your hands up, how many clergy from around the country are willing to sign the pledge with your sisters and brothers from Utah? And how many of the good lay folks here are willing to sign that pledge? All right. We're going to be standing on the side of love. Standing on the side of love until love and compassion and justice prevail.
Thank you, Bill Sindford. Please join with us standing on the side of love.